Good morning, my honorable adjudicators, my beloved friends, and my worthy opponent. Let me introducing myself. My name is Yeremia Nico Demus. I am from FARMASI Vocational High School in Central Jakarta called DITKESAD. First, I would like to say thank you for the opportunities that you have given to me to express my argument. So today's motion is about this House believe that environmental movement should launch violent campaigns against major polluting companies. So before I get into my arguments or before I start my arguments, I would like to explain a little for the environmental movements. What is the definition of environmental movements? So, environmental movement is a movement to protect or to maintaining the natural environment or our surrounding so that the environment will be safe to be live in and also free from any dangerous or harmful factors such as pollution. It differs like it can be the air pollution, the water pollution, or the soil pollution. For the air pollution, for example, is a carbon emission. That usually cause the carbon emission is usually caused from the company like factory, from the industrial sector. So the pollution or industrial pollution is very harmful because it's very harmful to the sustainability of humankind, to the earth, and all the living being in it. So I strongly believe or I strongly propose with the motion because first, environmental movement is important to be done due to avoid bad impact of pollution or the harm that very caused by the company. So, big company that focusing on industrial sectors is such a factory usually will contribute a high amount of pollution from the waste that as their result of production by product. There's a lot of there's a lot of sorry there's a lot of form waste that a factory produce such as air pollution like a carbon emission like I just said before, and the other chemical substances that being freed to the or being spread in the air, and also it can be form of water pollution that harmful to river ecosystem. What I mean is industrial waste is usually get disposed to the river, right? So that's why it can be very harmful to the river ecosystem, like the life of fish. It can be very threatful, and also the soil pollution that very harmful to earth sustainability. The impact of the pollution that the factory produce is very harmful in environmentally mean and also to the health. That's why the environmental protection movement is very crucial or important because it has a high of urgency to be done. For example, the carbon emission that factory, I will give you, I will give you the example from the harmful impact of the pollution that the company caused. For example, the carbon emission that factory produce cause will have a bad health impact, such many health issues or problem, such as respiration disease like pneumonia, bronchitis, and other more. Also can cause a greenhouse effect and will be increasing the global warming, and it very dangerous or it very have a bad influence for our earth, right? And that's why I strongly propose the environmental protection movement in addition to avoid bad impact of pollution that company produce. My second argument is why the environmental movement have to launch with the violent campaign is that it is necessary or it is the effective way for environmental protection movement be distributed through violent campaign. The urgency of the environmental protection movement is very high, is too high, because the risk of the damage that of the damage of the company pollution cause, it's very, very dangerous for our earth and for our life and the other ecosystem. Because the number of pollution, it can be increasing each year. The number of pollution and the harmful impact of natural environment can be increasing each year. And the problem needs to be solved as fast as possible, because if it not directly solved or it not solved as fast as possible, it can be more dangerous. It can be more harmful to our living in Earth, to every living being in the Earth. And of course, it needs the participation of from all aspects, like society, government, and the company itself. So, uh, in addition to solve the problem of that the pollution that company produce that cause a very harmful effect to our earth, it cannot be done by just one aspect, such as like only society or government. It needs to be done by every aspect, by society, government, and the company itself, because it will be more effective, right? So, with the violent campaign, it is effective to attract the government or the company itself attention, so that the environmental problem, so that the environment problem or issue can be solved appropriately. So what I mean here is like, if we launch our environment movement with violence, it can be more effective. I mean, it will more attention attract, right? The company that we criticize will strongly feel what we try to distribute, or what we try to tell them, that the pollution that they produce is very dangerous, and it cause a very harmful impact to the earth. So if we want to compare the violent environment movement with the non-violent one, I mean, if we try to compare the environment protecting movement that distribute with the violence and with the non-violent ones, like social media use, it will be less effective, especially for the massive company, because they potentially be more ignorant of that. What I mean, what I try to tell you is that we can distribute our environmental movement through non-violence, such as social media. I mean, of course, we can repost the flyers of environmental movement, such as we need to reduce the plastic use, for example, and we can repost the flyer of the factory cause a very bad impact through the carbon emission that they cause. We can do that, but it will be more or less effective than the violence one that can directly attract their attention, the company attention. And therefore, it is necessary for environmental movement to distribute through violent campaigns, because it is more effective way to tell.